Non-maleficence, the clergy perspective. The clergy perspective, when considering non-maleficence or doing no harm, must both consider non-maleficence, but also integrate religion as well. This has less to do with the actual actions of the clergy person not doing harm and more with counseling in what I've found. The obligation of beneficence or doing good often outweighs non-maleficence or not doing harm. In the clergy person's role as a counselor, something interesting in the textbook by Beauchamp and Childress was a question of, does patient refusal of treatment count as suicide? This is something that many people have trouble grasping in relations to religion because they might have discrepancies in what they want and what they believe. However, the book talks about refusing usual treatment. Usual treatment in a life or death situation would be usual meaning ordinary or customary treatments that are commonly performed. And they found that in this refusal of usual treatment, it is considered a suicide homicide by many clergy people. However, refusal of unusual treatment, this being extraordinary or uncustomary treatments, is actually not considered suicide or homicide. And essentially, much of the withdrawal of life conversations do have to do with non-maleficence or not doing harm. And this can come at odds with the perspective of religion. So the textbook talks about morally permissible non-maleficence. And in this, they must consider 4 factors: the nature of the act, the intention of the act, the distinction between the means and effects, and the proportionality between a good effect and a bad effect. So an example of this would be, there is a patient that's comatose. They are on a ventilator. They have increasing respiratory problems like pneumonia and infections. They have bed sores or decubitus ulcers, and they have lots of weight loss. In this situation, the parents of this patient, they were Roman Catholic, and they were having a conflict on what to do. And actually, Roman Catholic moral theologians stated that in this case, these parents were not morally required to continue nutrition, hydration, or antibiotics for their family member, because although these are usual treatments, the complications of the patient outweighed that. And essentially what happened was they ended up withdrawing care. So that's a really good example of non-maleficence, and in this case, they were choosing the route that would cause the least amount of harm to the patient, as in letting the patient pass with dignity and without further subjecting them to more respiratory issues, bed sores, and probably eventual death if the infections continued long enough.